Hi everyone, it's Lindey. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk to you about a few ways that I personally cut down on expenses and save a little bit more money every single month. So I am a small business owner. I work out of my home, and as someone who uses that small business to pay bills, there are a few different things that I do that helps me cut down my expenses and makes my budget a little bit more manageable. When you operate your own business and you are responsible for your own paychecks, having a solid budget is imperative to make sure that you're not overspending and making sure that you always have money in the bank. So in today's video, I want to go over 3 different tactics that I personally use for saving money, and these might not be tips you've ever heard before. Today's video is also sponsored by Skillshare, and after I go over my own personal tricks for saving money, I'll let you know how a Skillshare membership can help you save even more every single month. So the first tip that I have for you is to at least once a year, maybe even every 6 months, contact your bill carriers and ask them to lower your bill. Now, I know this sounds a little bit unconventional and it sounds like it wouldn't make that big of a difference, but I'm telling you, sometimes the act of calling your bill carrier can actually reduce your bill by literally changing almost nothing, especially if you have a bill carrier that you've had for years, because loyalty does matter to certain companies. And if you call them and let them know that you're concerned that your bill is a little bit too high and ask them if there's anything they can do to lower it, a lot of the times if you have a really good billing history with them, they will lower your bill or give you some sort of a new customer discount. It also does help if you call around and get some competitive rates from other competing companies. That way you have a recommendation of your current bill carrier that might also incentivize them to lower your bill, hoping that you're not going to leave them and go with a competitor. For instance, if you have an internet provider and they're not the only service provider in your area, but you're noticing that your bills are just getting higher and higher because maybe before you had a discount for being a new customer and now that term has ended and now your bill has gone up, you could contact them and ask them if there's anything that they can do, and you could even give them competing rates for other internet providers in the area that they can likely match to keep you as a customer. Or sometimes you could be getting charged for services that you don't necessarily need, and removing those services can lower your bill. Especially after what has happened in 2020, these companies are used to people calling with issues about their bills being too high and needing to reduce their payments. So a lot of these companies have customer service representatives that are ready to drop your bill and do whatever they can to lessen it to keep you as a customer. I'm sure that cancellation rates have skyrocketed because of people wanting to cut down on their bills because they don't have the money to spend on luxuries. So give customer service representatives an opportunity to look at your bill and see what they can shave off to cut your costs. An example of a couple of things that we did in my house is we ended up switching from Verizon to T-Mobile. We first talked to Verizon about lowering our monthly cell phone cost, and they couldn't cut it down to as low as competitors like T-Mobile could, so we ended up just switching carriers completely. Just the act of switching our cell phone service from Verizon to T-Mobile saved us $90 a month to get the exact same service. And when I noticed our auto insurance premiums going higher, I decided to call our insurance provider, inquire about why there was an increase, and ask them what we can do to lower it. It was literally a matter of them unchecking boxes of services that we would likely never use that was rolled into our premium. We increased our deductibles a little bit, and we ended up saving $70 a month on our insurance premium. We didn't need specific roadside assistance because we really don't travel anymore, and because we're not driving as many miles on our vehicle anymore, there was no reason to have such a low deductible because the likelihood of having damage done to our vehicles and needing to even use the deductible was lessened. So the act of alternating our coverage lowered our premium by around $70 per month, and we're still covered with the same insurance company. A lot of the times when we first start service with companies, there are things that are included with that service that we don't realize is useless until we actually tell them that we don't like the price and ask them what they can do to lessen it. Then suddenly all of these little things start popping up. There's suddenly boxes that can become unchecked, and shaving even $10 a month off of your bill is $120 a year. That could be a week's worth of groceries. That could be a month's worth of shipping supplies. But you don't get those savings if you don't ask for them. Every single year, I will contact a lot of our billing providers for the different services that we use every single month, and I ask them for discounts and what they can do to shave a little bit of money off. Sometimes that means that I get new customer discounts even though I've been a loyal customer for years. Sometimes that means I end up switching providers. Sometimes that means I'm adjusting deductibles to save a little bit on premiums. But without a doubt, that gives me at least $1,000 a year in savings just calling and asking for changes to my bill. Sometimes companies will even give you a monthly discount for signing up for auto draft for payments. There's 2 or 3 bills that we have that are automatically deducted every single month from our checking account, which we actually prefer that because I don't want to have to physically pay bills every month. I would rather just have everything taken out automatically. And we save roughly $9 a month on these bills just for having auto drafts. That's over $100 a year just for signing up for an auto pay service. So again, I say you cannot get smaller bills if you don't call up and ask for them. The annual savings is always worth the hassle of sitting on the phone. So the next little trick that I do takes a lot of self-control, but if you can master it, it can really help you curb your spending. I like to call this little trick saving what you spend. Let me tell you how it works. Anytime that you would have spent money, instead of spending, restrain yourself and transfer that dollar amount to your savings instead. For instance, let's say you're running errands and you stop to get gas. If you're really craving going inside and grabbing a snack, or a soda from the fountain drink station, if it's not something that you really need, then refrain from spending that money and instead transfer it into your savings account. For example, whenever I'm out running errands, I love stopping at Sonic to get a drink. There's something about that Sonic Ice and a carbony Diet Coke that just, ooh, it tickles my fancy. But if I buy one of those every single time I'm out running errands, that can really add up. I checked my spending habits one month and I found that just stopping to get one of those really large Route 44 Diet Cokes with a little bit of cherry and vanilla added, just getting one of those twice a week was over $20 a month. Now, $20 a month, you must be really hard up. But $20 or $22 a month amounts to over $250 a year. $250 per year for some Diet Coke and some Sonic Ice? If I use just a little bit of emotional intelligence, I can remember to bring a chilled can of Diet Coke with me or some bottles of water for a fraction of the price. So if there's any time I am out and I really want one of those drinks, instead of buying the overly expensive drink, I'll just proudly transfer the money into my savings account instead. Or if there's a night that I really don't feel like cooking, and instead I just want to spend $30 and get some pizza, instead of ordering the pizza, I'll transfer the $30 to my savings account and we'll just have sandwiches instead. There's nothing wrong with eating sandwiches every once in a while instead of spending a whole bunch of money at the drive-thru or on pizza delivery. Or if you're out shopping and you see these really super cute throw pillows at Marshall's and you think to yourself, those would look adorable on my couch. It's only $25 for the set. That's not a big deal. Put the pillows down, transfer the money into your savings account instead. Because I know that I don't really need those throw pillows. They'll just end up on the floor or one of the dogs will take them to the dog bed anyway. The money is better served in my savings account. Now, I don't do this trick all the time because I do feel like, I deserve a Sonic drink every once in a while, and I'm not saying that ordering pizzas is bad, but I will start doing this here and there as a habit if I start noticing my spending getting out of hand. And it can be really eye-opening to see how much money all of these little transactions have amounted to in your savings account. And you can think, dang, I would have blown $200 this month on BS, and instead it's sitting safely in my savings account. Now, of course, this trick really doesn't work if you didn't have the money to spend on it anyway. It's not like you can say to yourself, man, I'd really like to buy a new car, but instead I'm not gonna buy a new car and I'm gonna put that money in my savings account instead. Doesn't really work. You have to be realistic about it. If you really would have bought those throw pillows, or you really would have bought a kitchen gadget that you don't really need, instead of buying it, transfer the money into your savings account instead. If you would have gotten that drink at the gas station and you had the money to do it, but you chose not to, transfer it into your savings account instead. I promise you, it'll feel really good when you see the money saved versus spending the money on something like a drink or takeout that you only enjoyed for a split moment and then that moment was gone. And it takes some emotional maturity to do that for sure. And then the last tip that I have is definitely not something that I created. I've seen a lot of other financial influencers talk about doing this. The first time I heard about this, I actually learned about it from Jeff Yeager. I don't know if you know who he is, but he was on the pilot episode of Extreme Cheapskates, that TV show that used to be on TLC. I've actually read all of his books and I really, really like this guy. He's known as America's Cheapskate. And Jeff Yeager would enact a spending freeze. I forget what he called it, but basically there would be times every single month where he just wouldn't spend any money. And I remember thinking that that was just absolutely brilliant, because that is a way that you can cut your spending and really you don't have to try very hard. And basically what this means is that every fourth week, we just don't spend any money. Now, of course, we have to spend money on our typical bills, but as for regular spending, like going to the grocery store or buying things on Amazon that we really don't need, even things that we do need, we just save it for the next week. We just refrain from any spending. No card swiping, no online purchases, no running out to the store to get a gallon of milk. We don't spend every fourth week during the year. And really, it's gotten to the point where it doesn't hurt anymore. We just don't spend. But it really makes a difference in our back end, because in a typical month, our spending habits usually average between $150 to $200 a week. That could be things like groceries or eating out, or it could go up to $300 a week if we're talking about making online purchases, going to the movies, or going out shopping. But during that week where we're not spending, we're actually saving an average of $150 to $200 a week. And when we do that on average 14 times a year, that's anywhere from $2,100 to $2,800 worth of savings every single year, just from not spending. We could pay almost an entire month's worth of bills on those savings alone. Now, again, it does take a pretty large amount of willpower to just eat what's in the back of the cabinets instead of going to the grocery store. But pretty soon it gets to the point where you start to realize it's not really that hard not to spend money. In the beginning, it does take a fair amount of willpower, but if you can master it, it becomes super easy. And instead of spending your weekly budget that you would have used at the grocery store, going out to eat, or going shopping, just putting it into your savings account kind of makes you excited to continue to do it, because you can see that you're reaping the rewards of your self-control. For a few months, we even tried doing it every 3 weeks. That was a little bit more difficult, I'm not gonna lie. But if you really wanna work at building up your savings account, try doing something like a spending freeze. The more frequently you can do it, the faster you can build up your savings. It might sound easier than it is in practice, but It's possible to save a lot of money if you just don't go out and spend it. Now, if you want even more tips and tricks for saving money and balancing a household budget, let me tell you a little bit about Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community that hosts over 20,000 classes in various different topics. They have wonderful classes about business regarding things like marketing or accounting for your small business, but they also have loads of classes about budgeting and saving money. A Skillshare membership is also really affordable. It's less than $10 per month, but because Skillshare is sponsoring today's video, the first 1,000 viewers that click the link in the description will get a free trial of a Skillshare premium membership. If you're looking for a class to get started with, I really liked this basic budgeting with Google Sheets class taught by Luke Floyd. So Google Sheets is free for everyone to use, and I know that sometimes making spreadsheets can be a little bit confusing, so actually having someone teach you how to do it not only helps you learn how to use Google Sheets, but it also helps you build a budget that you can track easily. Thank you again to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video, and thank you all for watching. If you like this video and videos like it, please do give it a thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already and ring the notification bell. That way you're notified whenever I post a new video. Don't forget to check the video description. I will put a lot of useful information in there, as well as the link to get you a free trial of a Skillshare premium membership. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. Thank you again so much for watching. I will see you with my next video. Bye-bye.